If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of the Mind Pump,
hey guys.
Hey, for the first 45 minutes, we have our fun introductory conversation, and then we get into the fitness stuff. But here's what we talked about for the first 45 minutes. Adam starts out by mixing Organifi's new immunity powder. It's actually pretty good stuff. Good to boost your immune system.
Alchemy.
With Organifi's nootropic powder, Pure. He put them together in water. He drank them. Find out what happened to him in this part of this episode. Then we talked about the Notre Dame Cathedral donations and who's donating. Apparently they raised like $700 million.
Yeah.
That is insane. Then we talked about the science behind old man strength. It's a real thing. We talked about Carl's Jr.'s new CBD burger. What the hell? Don't they know it's THC that makes you hungry?
It's a green burger.
We talked about the Bang drinks, you know, those chemical-laden caffeine drinks and their lawsuits with Monster's Reign. And apparently there's another lawsuit saying that they pixie dust their stuff.
Bang, bang.
Then we talked about how the online influencer industry is all going authentic. Isn't it funny? It's almost like we called it a while ago.
Weird.
Joe Rogan is getting attacked by Media Matters. Apparently he doesn't have enough women on his show. We talked about the first 3D printed heart and they used the patient's own cells. This is crazy. I talked about this new band that I found because Justin showed me them. They're really good. Wolf Mother. Check them out. Great workout music. And then Justin brought up a very interesting article. Apparently there's doctors that are trading pain pills for, you guessed it, sex.
Sexual favors.
Then we get into the fitness part of this episode. First question, what's a good age for someone younger to start working out in the gym with a parent? So at what age should kids start working out with their parents? Next question, this person is bringing up a couple of our past episodes. We had Jim Quick on and Hal Elrod. They both have morning routines, but they're both different. Which one do we subscribe to? Do we think one is better than the other?
I have morning wood.
The next question, thanks, Justin. What are our thoughts on cryotherapy and ice baths for recovery? Do they work? Do they make you healthier? Are they good for muscle growth? Are they good for fat loss? Find out. The next question, the last question actually, what are our experiences with meditation, and what advice do we have for people looking to add meditation to their lives? Also, this month, MAPS split our Bodybuilder Advanced program, 50% off if you want to sculpt and shape your body. If you want to develop it to look like a damn statue, this is the program for you. That program's normally $177. It's half off. That's a big discount.
Sliced.
Here's what you do. Go to mapssplit.com, MAPSSPLIT, two S's in the middle, .com, and use the code SPLIT50, SPLIT50, no space, for the discount. And if you're interested in other MAPS programs, let's say you're not interested in an advanced bodybuilder program, let's say you're a beginner, or you want to do an athletic training program, or you want correctional exercise, or you like to train with unconventional exercises like a strongman, we have programs for you. You can find all of those at mapsfitnessproducts.com.
Wake me up before we go.
I'm gonna double this.
Take me dancing.
I'm gonna double this up today. Is this gonna be okay?
What are you taking?
You're going double deep.
I'm gonna stack the Organifi Pure with the Organifi Immunity. What do you think about that?
I don't think there's any interactions, so I think that's a fine combination.
Let's see what it tastes like.
Organifi Pure is the nootropic, one of the chief ingredients being lion's mane.
Chief.
Lion's mane mushrooms, which
Captain.
I'm gonna bring Chief
it's
back.
a captain ingredient.
We used to say chief a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
I like general.
Yeah, didn't chief also mean like when you smoke weed?
Yeah.
Chief.
I just hate it when like somebody calls you chief.
The chief on the chief on the joint.
Is that what, or is that keef?
No, well, keef is also used.
Or am I thinking queef?
Oh yeah, like chief.
Am I thinking queef?
I remember like when you're smoking, you're chiefing.
What does that mean?
Queefing. That's totally different.
Did you just reference in an Organifi commercial queefing?
No,
we just dropped some queef.
Did you really just
inside that commercial?
I can't wait. I can't wait for Rachel.
I love it.
Rachel sends some of our audience that doesn't know this. Like anytime like we do our commercials, for our companies. We
I don't think she sends all of them over.
Oh,
just the good ones.
No, she sends them all. So that's part of her job is she sends over the.
Well, this is off to a good start.
The sound bite.
As soon as I said queef, Doug, like he head palmed so hard he almost knocked himself out.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna combine the Pure, which we typically have.
Pure is the nootropic.
Yeah, we have that before our podcast.
Lion's Mane boosts BDNF in the brain, which is good for the brain.
But I'm gonna jack this up with this new immunity one that looks like.
Yeah, they have a new product. I don't know why I said that weird. Called Immunity. And it's orange flavored. I think they're like, hey, if you feel like you're getting sick or whatever. So I'm looking at the ingredients here, and they do a pretty good job, man. Like, it's got mushroom beta glucan in it. So this is something from mushrooms that has been shown to have adaptogenic properties. So it helps the body deal with stress, but also has these kind of immune boosting properties. One of the studies I pulled up showed that it's got a favorable effect on cancer cells even because it boosts the immune system, which is good. It's got, of course, zinc, ginger, and turmeric, which are both anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
Help the body deal with inflammation.
Smart.
Vitamin D3, got to have, if your D3 levels are low, then your odds of getting sick seem to go up higher. There's a lot of people that speculate on that. And it tastes pretty good, but you mix them both. How is the mixed flavor?
Not bad.
It's different.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal. Adam doesn't lie. He's oftentimes said certain supplements are disgusting.
This is a fact.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I would tell you if it was not good. No, that's actually pretty good. It's pretty good together. I kind of wish, though, it's good enough that I wish I would have now tasted it by itself. So that was a fail.
It's mild.
You've already tasted it.
Yeah, it's got a mild. First of all, do you really have to ask me if I ever try a supplement that comes in here?
Well, we just got it.
I tried before we put it away.
I was going to say,
silly.
We got it
silly
just like
beast.
a day or two ago. It hasn't been that long, has it?
Yeah, I got it, dude, right away. I popped that in some water, shook it up, and had a good time.
Yeah.
Drank it. But the Pure, have you combined the Pure yet with caffeine?
Yeah.
Not like literally.
I've combined it with the red
I've
juice.
had a cup of coffee on my way to work.
Hold on a second. I just realized something.
What?
You guys just had a packet of Pure 2 hours ago.
I didn't. You guys did.
Just Adam did.
I did.
Wow.
I had coffee,
Every time,
though.
dude. This is why we hide the supplements from Adam, Doug.
Yeah.
Because he goes too far.
We talked about this. Somebody has to find the line.
Yeah. Adam's pressing the boundaries for us.
I remember the time.
I'm looking out for our audience.
My favorite time was when we went to On It.
Oh, God.
And we were podcasting.
I was possessed by demons.
I don't know if that's what happened.
That's what he thought happened.
Yeah. Your head was spinning.
I called my mom.
We were in the On It house, and they have all these free On It supplements in there. And
Possessed with demons.
Adam took 2 or 3 servings of what's the one that they have?
Alpha Brain.
Alpha Brain, which is already 2 or 3 times more than you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Then we get there, and Kyle mixes up like another 2 servings of. And we're sitting there, and halfway through the podcast, I look at Adam, and he just doesn't look good. Yeah, something's not right with him.
Yeah.
There's a video floating around.
7 Mile Stare.
Floating around on it YouTube, I think, of that, right?
And you can clearly see
Yeah, you can see him.
Adam everything in his might to prevent himself from crashing and falling asleep.
Isn't it interesting how that works? Like something that's supposed to be like an upper, how it take too much of it, and then it ends up doing the complete opposite. Like I remember that podcast very vividly. Like
he blamed it on me too, asshole.
I was hella mad at you.
Fucking asshole.
Well, it just shows you I was irritable too, right?
You were super irritable.
I was tired. I was irritable.
Yeah.
Fucking Sal.
Yeah.
What a terrible interview. I didn't want. You know why? I didn't want to go to ayahuasca. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I remember on the way over, I'm driving over there, and I remember telling the guys, I'm like, can we please do a podcast with somebody from the On It crew and not talk about ayahuasca? Like I was
it's an impossible act.
Yeah, and then he was like 20 minutes in, and then I blame it on Sal. It was his fault.
Do you remember when it hit you though?
I do. It was. I remember yawning like big time. Like we were recording. I'm going. Like in the middle of the podcast, I'm like, God, this is like weighing on me. And then I remember like leaning on my hand because I was getting so tired. Yeah, it was.
I remember I just came off of the flu, so I was like super weak and was not feeling it either. I think we were all in like a low state of energy on that podcast.
I was feeling okay, but I could tell that you guys weren't feeling. But I could definitely tell Adam because it hit Adam all of a sudden. Like you were already like you had gotten over getting sick, and we were all like, "Fuck, thank God you weren't," because you had a really bad flu.
It was real bad. Going into that.
Yeah, but Adam was fine, and I remember we're sitting there in the podcast, and it was like a light switch. It was like, Adam went from, hey, what's the matter? To all of a sudden, and I was like, whoa. to the point where I thought Kyle sprinkled something in his fucking drink. I'm like, what do they do? Did they sabotage him a little bit?
Possibly, because that was one of the times. I've only projectile vomited a handful of times. Really, and that's one of the.
That's why you thought you had demons.
Right? Yeah, I did, dude. I did.
Adam came out of the bedroom and he's like, I was throwing up hard last night. He's like, I think it was spiritual warfare. I'm like, what? What do you mean spiritual?
They're coming after me.
And then I pieced it together because you didn't.
Bro, I didn't even play that song or anything.
No, at that point, Adam hadn't pieced it together. He's like, I don't know what happened. It was so weird. It hit me all of a sudden, and he's like, he's coming up with all these crazy theories, and I'm like, how many servings of whatever did you have?
Brain.
Yeah,
and then we had it all mixed in the shake at the bar after our workout.
And then I added it up, and I'm like, oh, you got
a lot.
You reached toxic levels, my friend. So that's what happens when you have too much of that shit. Hilarious
lesson.
Don't try it at home, kids.
But he survived. Thank God.
I did. I'm here still.
Yeah. So
hey, you brought up on the show just what I think yesterday or whatever it was, the burning of the Church of Notre Dame, right? And
the cathedral.
And you brought up the 600 million or something like that has been donated.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
700.
Yeah, something like that, right? So I looked into that further, and more than half of that money has come from like two people.
No way.
It's like the two richest people, and one of them owns brands like what's one of the Louis Vuitton, and I forget who the other company or owner is, and they're like the two big swinging dicks in France, and they were going back and forth, one-upping each other. So it was kind of like a
Isn't that funny?
It was like a charity pissing contest.
Oh, see,
like one does 100 million, the next guy comes over.
It's all good when it's for a good cause,
dude,
though.
Exactly. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Like, how do we get wealthy people to want to do more good things? And then I'm like, oh, I know. Just cater to their ego.
Yeah, exactly.
If we made it all of a sudden, if society and you could use the media to do this, if you could all of a sudden make it cool to donate to charity and to do this and to make it super cool, you would see every remember like when the celebrities were buying the Prius? Yeah. Like, here I am driving my Prius. Everybody look, I care about the environment besides the fact that I fly in a private jet every week. If you can make it cool to where it feeds their ego, you'll see people with money all day long.
They've tapped into this for a long time. I mean, I was just at an event with Katrina's work. Every year they have this annual event at the what's the bocce ball place over in Los Gatos?
Campo de Bocce.
Yeah. So every year they rent that entire place out. They have a
good place, fun place.
They have a huge tournament, and it's like.
Did I say that right, Sal?
Yeah, you did. Well, now you're making little racist, trying to be funny there.
Aye.
I don't know.
That's a different
culture.
Every year they have this massive tournament where all the biggest GCs come in and they're competing against each other, and it's all for a good cause. I forget what the what hospital that they work with when they do this, but it's. They donate a lot of the money to that they auction off all these things. It's like a picture of a ball player signed or some shit, which it would go for like $200. But because it's going to a charity and a good cause, and you got all these millionaires that are in there, like these things go for like ridiculous prices, like $20,000, $40,000 for these things, and it's always the CEOs. And I think there's like I want to say like 12 or 14. Massive companies that are all competing against each other, and Katrina always participates in the event. She always goes and plays on one of the teams, but then all the CEOs are there, and when it comes time for the auction, like
it's like my dick's the biggest.
Seat with their little sign.
Oh, it's totally this. Those are always the ones who are making the bids on this. There's 100-something plus people there, but it's the fucking 10 CEOs. That are buying the signed baseball or the helicopter ride for a picnic, and it's like getting auctioned off for
cater to the ego, man.
$50,000,
and you'll get what you want. It's funny. I did a post on my story yesterday. Where did you guys see the post where it shows like a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio? It's like a drawing
in his jet,
and it's like I care about the environment. I want all of us to reduce our carbon footprint. And there's like 3 slides later, and he's in his private jet, and there's a big cloud of
zooming out, and then he's inside the window.
Yeah, and it just reminds me that if you really want to know what someone cares about and stands for, don't listen to their words.
Just watch them.
Look at their actions. Yeah. Their actions will tell you everything. Yeah. So here's an interesting one now. This is a fascinating one. in this, I have no. Again, I don't have a horse in the race here. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. But which side do you think donates more to charity? Republicans or Democrats?
Conservative, I would say Republicans.
They do. Yeah, they do. But they don't. People consistently think of conservatives as being people who want to be rich, don't want to pay taxes, don't want to help poor people, want to keep all their money, but they actually donate more to charities. And I think that speaks more volumes than the rhetoric. You know what I mean?
Now, where did you get that statistic? Because you're going to get roasted for that from all of our left.
Oh no, it's a real statistic. Now they come up with reasons why. They'll say things like, "Oh, they're trying to pay less in taxes," which okay, whatever. Or they donate more to church, which okay, again, whatever. But it is a truth. I think it has more to do with not that you're a Republican or Democrat. I think it has more to do with that. There's a higher percentage of people who claim to be religious on the right, and religious people, many religions make it a part of their practice to donate to charity and stuff like that. And so I think if they actually did a different study and said who donates the most to charity, people who claim to be religious versus people who don't, then you would see that religious people donate the most.
Yeah,
to
but
charity.
who has the best memes?
Yeah,
That's what matters.
That's exactly what
You know what I
matters.
mean?
Anyway,
Yeah.
dude, and I've also been getting a lot of people asking me about old man strength, which I think is hilarious.
It's a real thing, bro.
Yeah,
We've been talking about that.
a very real thing.
Yeah, a bunch of episodes ago we talked about that. Like, man, I remember shaking like this old guy's hand, and just like he was just crushed my hand. Like I'm like, and did not even I wouldn't even have been able to tell by his physique that he had that kind of like grip strength.
Yeah. No, it's the theory goes that when you try to tussle with an old guy, that you may not think they're nearly as strong as you or as agile as you because you're young, which is oftentimes true. But when you wrestle with them or fuck with them or whatever, or try to lift something that isn't a traditional weight, that the old guy is just stronger. And there's definitely some truth to this, and it has less to do with the fact that they're stronger, more to do with the fact that they've just been in their body.
Yeah.
For a long.
They know their body. They know how everything is going to respond, and in how much where their reserves lie and the thresholds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you watch, there's a documentary, and I don't know if it's on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon, called Knuckle. Did you watch that yet?
I have. I just started. Yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Not the whole thing yet.
Oh.
I just started. I was like, yes, I'm in. But because come on, dude, I can't watch that when Courtney's like. She's not really a big fan of it.
No, it's great. So it follows.
It's pretty brutal.
It follows Irish, what they call them, travelers, which is like basically these are people who they would call gypsies, right? Where they live in these encampments and they travel
like Snatch
around.
kind of.
Yeah, and the way that they settle a lot of their problems with each other with different families is they fight. They fist fight with their bare knuckles.
Isn't that like that part that in Snatch depicted from that's real?
Yeah. But there's a lot of rules and honor in it, so it's not like just a free for all fight with each other. They actually are like they'll break them up if someone has an illegal hold or whatever. You have to have a certain level of honor, and it's just how they handle their problems. But what was interesting in that, and the reason why I'm talking about it, is at the end, this guy who's like the Irish traveler champion, I forgot what his name was. He's like, it looks like he's in his maybe 40s, but he's been doing it for a long time, undefeated. There's this young, up and coming, muscular boxer who challenges him from the other family. So they have this fight, and the way they go is they just fight. There's no time limits or whatever. There are rules, but it's bare knuckle. There's no kicking, no biting, no eye gouging, that kind of stuff. But they keep going until someone gives up, or until the crowd is like, the guy's had enough.
Yeah.
And they're going, and the young guy is obviously faster and obviously stronger, and he's got a boxing background. And they fight for, I don't know how long they fight.
But the old guy can take a hit.
The old guy can take a hit. He's got harder hands, because eventually the young guy, you could tell his hands can't take it anymore. Yeah. So then the old guy just starts
he's getting exhausted. He's like, oh yeah, keep throwing him. You're going to get like exhausted.
And he beats him at the end. I'm like, that's old man strength right there, dude.
It's wisdom.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway, dude.
That's great.
Dude, did you guys get the messages from people showing you what's Carl Jr. is doing?
Yes, the CBD burger.
Man,
dude,
is it just going to be in everything or what?
It's hilarious.
It's a bubble, dude. We called it out. What is CBD? What are they putting it in a burger for?
Why?
I don't get it.
Yeah, why?
Because it's cool. I guess. It's the cool thing.
Just like add CBD
to everything.
Just add CBD.
Yeah, they're putting it in a burger. Now, they're doing it now in one location in Colorado because it's legal there to use, cannabis-type products or whatever. But they did say that they're testing it out to see if it's got market viability and if they could put it in burgers.
It's an interesting strategy. I think that Jack in the Box did this really well years ago. There was rumors to the strategy of the open all night long drive-through was directly to market to the
stoners,
the stoner community and the people that are partying late night. And obviously, it did incredibly well for Jack in the Box. I remember all through high school, that was the place to go eat. It was the only place that we could go to a party all night long, come out at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you could still go get,
colossal burger
12 tacos for less than $5, right? So I think that that was brilliant. And so maybe the strategy from Carl's is we're just trying to appeal to a population of people that are pro-cannabis.
Yeah, but CBD doesn't get you high.
Doesn't matter. It's if you're a advocate for marijuana, you have been for 10 years plus of your life, and the first fast food chain to get on the bandwagon and be pro-cannabis, I'm going to go support. I wanted a cheeseburger today anyways, and I was thinking about going to McDonald's, but now
I don't know if stoners really care. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they care. Like, we're going to be an activist. Like, they just smoke weed. CBD in a burger, first of all, what are you going to get from it?
They don't care enough to go make a fucking hard change in their life, but they care enough to, like, I'm getting stoned and I'm going to go eat a burger and fries, and now I'm going to go do Carl's Jr. because it's got CBD in it.
Well, yeah, I think it's enough to try once is my point. I don't think it has any staying. What would the staying power be? What are you going to get from it? How much CBD's in there? Are they going to notice any benefits? Probably not. Plus, CBD has some potential, some really good potential applications for treating certain things and some potential health applications. People getting a Carl's Jr. burger doesn't seem like they care about that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is it their ploy to kind of try to get people like that don't make healthy decisions to look into like things like that? But it's like, what is it going to do for them? At this point, to me, it's like totally watering it down. And now people are going to start looking at it as like, oh, this is another, magic cure-all, everything that doesn't really work.
I think what companies are finding is if they say CBD, they get a larger flood of people.
I think
that's what they're finding right now.
I think that
there's a money grab
for a very long time. There was a stigma around marijuana, and you didn't want to be associated with it, and you were a stoner and you were a loser if you were affiliated with it.
Yeah,
and it is completely. It's like the post I did probably. I don't know. This was like 6 months ago. I did this post where I'm holding a giant top of a marijuana plant, and it's OG Kush, and I think the caption I put was like before it was cool.
Yeah.
And the point of that post was exactly this: is that it's becoming cool now. Of course, everybody is going from I don't want to be associated with it and having a bad stigma to hey, marijuana has lots of positive health benefits for it. So I think it's more of a play of we're going to be the first fast food restaurant that's going to openly say that we support this, we're behind it. I think it's more of that play than it is, we're trying to cater to healthy people, we're trying to help people by infusing CBD.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day,
you're right.
I think it's more of that. It's like, remember when all the companies too did the I think Southwest did this, where their big companies did the whole inclusive thing where they changed all their logo to, I think, like the rainbow colors and stuff like that, because that's the movement. That's the Me Too, when the Me Too stuff was all going on. Yeah. They all these companies fall behind it. I think it's more like that. I think because marijuana is making such a hard push in the United States right now, and it's going from being...
They're just spreading the word of it.
Yeah, so I think they're trying to be the first fast food restaurant to say, hey,
it's just if you have a CBD burger, you're probably going to get a lot of people like, oh my God, I want to try CBD and have a burger. Right. Let's go give it a shot. There's no staying power there is my point.
No.
And I think what we're going to see is that the interest and use in terms of the market of CBD is going to spike, and then it's going to drop very quickly. I think it's going to drop very quickly for a few different reasons. One, they're putting a little tiny bit of CBD in stuff because CBD is expensive. So people aren't going to notice anything. So that's one. So people are like, I tried CBD, didn't do anything for me. Two, it's being used in ways that there's really no application. Like CBD makeup. Okay, is it good makeup though? If it's not good makeup, I'm not going to give a shit. And after trying it for the novelty, I'm not going to go back to using it, for example. Or CBD socks or CBD, like literally you're finding it in everything. So you're going to see this bubble pop soon where it's going to go from cool to nobody gives a shit, which I think is kind of crappy because there are real applications for CBD if you use the right dose and for the right things. Right. And this kind of stuff and it's funny because I remember when we first met before Mind Pump, when we sat in your living room, Adam, this was one of the topics.
Yeah, we called this.
We talked about how CBD is going to be everywhere and should we, look into it and potentially, put it in supplements if it's applicable. And we all decided no because there wasn't really any good applications that we could think of, but we knew it was going to happen.
What you're going to see, and this reminds me of another article that I wanted to bring up. So there was a big lawsuit on Bang. I don't know if you guys saw that.
But with Rockstar, right?
Okay, so there was that one. That was Monster. Monster and Bang got into it. So crazy. I'll show you guys the image. Doug could probably pull this up. So Monster created a line called Reign, REIGN. So Monster created Reign, Doug, REIGN, and it literally. They used the color schemes, the flavoring, everything like Bang. So that was like their response to Bang. Bang comes into the market, makes a big splash. Monster's like, "Fuck you!" Come out with a line that like totally matches Bang
with creatine in it.
Yeah, everything. Like it's spot on to them to the point where they're in a trademark lawsuit. So even though they're not using the same name, there's enough of it that looks similar to. Bang's, there it is, right there. Check that out. Look how.
Oh wow,
oh man,
is that hilarious?
And Bang.
Is that hilarious or what?
Well, yeah.
So that's the lawsuit you're talking about, Justin. Now the lawsuit that I'm talking about is Bang. It was in a lawsuit for their basically pixie dusting all the stuff they're saying, like branched chain amino acids, the creatine that everyone's buying
1
it
milligram.
Yeah, so it says that, and I'll read it. It says, defendant knows that the consumers are willing to pay more for sports energy drinks that contain super, quote, creatine, ultra, CoQ10, and branched chain amino acids, as opposed to those that do not, in part because the listed ingredients are valuable and desired to these consumers. The quality is higher, and consumers believe they are paying costs associated with the higher quality, potent, super, and ultra ingredients. The Bang energy drink has a class action lawsuit, seeks to represent a nationwide class consumers who purchase Bang in the United States. The plaintiffs also seek to represent subclasses from California, yada, yada, yada. They go on to talk about why, and it's because the dosage that they're claiming, saying that super and ultra, like it's a lot, it's not even enough to make a difference.
It's got creatine.
So funny that
nothing.
you bring up Bang specifically. I was going to tell you guys. So when I drive to work, I usually like pick up a water, and then there's like a Pete's Nitro can that's at this gas station. So usually I'll fill up with gas, and then I'll get like my morning stuff there, and like I run into the same like clerk that's always there, and she's this older lady that like we have minimal exchanges with. Like I'm always like, I don't want have a long conversation, but we end up like having to, like it's been so many times in a row.
Just to fuck me eyes, right?
Yeah. It's just that. And so I'm like looking around, they don't have it, and so I grabbed the Bang instead, and I grabbed that, and I was just gonna try it. And so I'm going to pay for it and all this, and she always gives me like this one-liner, kind of like whatever, and she's just like, "It's hump day," and I was like, "Yeah, don't you see my drink?"
Oh, well.
And then I was just like,
"Yeah, you're definitely seeing mixed signals."
Yeah, she like didn't even laugh or anything, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like I thought I was on Mind Pump.
You're like,
I could get away with it, and so that was awkward.
You're like, I got a Bang. Do you want a Bang?
Yeah.
You want a Bang?
Yeah. It's hump day. Get it?
So I think this is what we're going to see with a lot of it. Like I sent you guys the picture of all the beauty products and stuff that are now getting CBD infused. What is going to happen is a big enough company, said company like, Bang, is going to be, CBD infused. And then finally somebody is going to test it and find out that it's like nothing. And then you're going to start seeing that's what I think. Like, so when you say about a bubble, I don't know if there's going to be a bubble at burst. I think it's going to become more and more. If you were to ask me, Adam, will CBD more popular 5 years from now than it is today? I'd say it's going to be way more popular, way more prevalent in our space.
Yeah, who knows how long it'll take for the bubble to pop.
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be a bubble burst, but I think what will happen is a lot of people that are piggybacking off of the fame of it right now and the trendiness of it right now are going to get busted when you start finding out that the dosage is bullshit. So this is what I think is happening in our space. Like, this is why it was so important that we partnered with a company like Ned we vetted very well before we did anything. We met with the CEOs. We checked everything that we possibly could and looked into them before we'd even consider working with them, because of this exact fear that I know how loosely that industry is ran, and there's just not a lot of regulation there yet. So really easily can somebody, water down something and say it's CBD and say it's 1,500 milligrams. Nobody's fucking checking that shit right now. Mm-hmm. It's all on the producers.
And consumers are still, they're still ignorant about what an effective dose is and what it feels like and what it's supposed to do. So consumers have no idea.
Dude, quality is the only thing that's going to have staying power.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why we're always looking for that.
Any new market starts out like that. It starts out with a bunch of players, and then the ones that stick around are the ones that are good, and the shitty ones fall by the wayside. But in the meantime, you're going to try a lot of shitty products. That's what's going to end up happening.
Right.
So, and speaking of trends, the new trend that's happening with social media is this, and I read an article by Vice written on this, that online influencers are all about being quote unquote authentic now. Now you had the whole, the whole blowback with the Fire Festival, and you're now getting blowback with influencers, bullshitting on their stuff and using Photoshop and all that stuff. We've seen that in our space. That now the big thing is to look as authentic as possible. So it's funny to me that it's funny to me because you can't fake authenticity, but that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of people fake being authentic.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys guess what you think that's going to look like?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it already kind of started with the whole hashtag no filter, or where they're
my gut's relaxing.
No, they're not flexing.
I told you
for once.
I told you on the podcast that I don't remember somebody else doing that. There's a lot of people that
you were like one of the first
call out that's attached to us now that do that, and it's super common. But when I was first talking about that shit, it was still beast mode time. It was still cool to show you pumped in a perfect lighting, and that was the formula. And I was coming out in my bathroom with shitty lighting and first thing in the morning and no pump, and showing you what I look like, what I'm doing, so you could see real change day over day. And it was probably a year or two later where I started to see more and more people in our space start to do that. And I'm just like, now, some people, maybe it's coming from a good place and it's true, and maybe they didn't know, or they didn't see me, and then they went and did it. They did it on their own because they felt the same thing that we felt, maybe. But I do see a lot of people now, again, that are riding trends, that are like, oh, okay, so we're now in a place where we don't lie about our shit. Now we tell it straight up. And so you're going to see more and more people. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't hate. That's why I haven't said.
I like the movement.
Right. So I mean, that's how I feel about that. I don't rag about it because it's whether I started it or not in our space, fucking more people doing it. That's positive. That's part of why.
That's what we all want.
Right. So if more people are doing it, hopefully most of them are doing it for the real authentic reasons, and then they're trying to do good in the space. I'm all for it. So I hope we see more of it. But it definitely was not that many people doing it just 4 or 5 years ago when we first got on Instagram and the podcast, and it's becoming more popular.
It just is interesting. You meet people that you see in media and social media in particular. And then we get a chance to meet people in person, and you meet them in person and they're not at all like the persona that they present. And you think to yourself wow, that is so, it's so fake. It's
crazy. How can you live? I don't know. I've always thought of that. And I know that's been a formula forever, is presenting yourself as it's like a character.
Sure.
And I know a lot of people in the entertainment business, struggle with that.
Fake it till you make it.
They even create new names for themselves because they think it's more marketable and all that stuff.
Yeah. It seems like it would just take too much energy to be two different people.
That's how I feel.
You know what I mean? It would just take too much energy. And the way I look at it is I look at it long term. I think to myself, okay, how am I going to be able to do this forever? There's no way I'll be able to do it forever if I'm two different people.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way. At some point, I'll slip up, too. That's the other thing. Imagine walking around with the fear, knowing that you may get found out by some fan or someone who gets you on their iPhone, that you're just
and I think
not real.
Too, a lot of people just have a misconception that people want that better version of you. And so they feed into that idea where, in fact, they would probably, like praise you for like being more real.
Yeah, it makes you bulletproof, in my opinion. Being truly authentic makes you bulletproof.
It's scary, though. It's scary when
it is scary.
It's scary when you're...
Yeah, because if people don't like you,
right.
it's the real you.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's scary for a lot of people. I mean, everybody battles with their insecurities, and we now live in this Instagram world where we put a lot of ourselves out there, and who wants to lead with your worst foot? I mean, it's just like the first time you're on a date. It's not like you're like the first time, like, oh, so I have this one bad habit where I smoke cigarettes on these times, and I leave the toilet seat up a lot.
This weird rash,
right? Exactly.
You don't come out clean with it.
You just don't really do that. What you do is you say you hype yourself up to the other person, and you're trying. And so I think that social media is just a microcosm of that. It's exaggerated to the 10th degree.
Super exaggerated.
Yeah, so we're best angles.
But it's becoming trendy. So to me, I'm interested to see what people do to try to appear more authentic besides actually being more authentic. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I think is going to happen. You're going to see people posting certain types of pictures more and certain types of things more. Maybe more, just to show that they're more authentic. That's the part that
it'll probably be popular until somebody who's like authentically being themselves, but they're an asshole, and they're like saying horrible shit, like "What's me?" Yeah. Well, stop.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're.
It doesn't mean. Anybody
Thanks for being real, but you're an asshole.
Right.
Speaking of media, did you guys hear about Rogan and how? You guys know who Media Matters is?
No.
It's this nonprofit organization whose goal it is to. Basically to reveal or to call out the false information from the conservative media. So they're a liberal nonprofit group designed whose goal is to call out what they consider bullshit and stuff in conservative media. Whatever, no problem with that. That's cool. But they weren't going after Rogan.
Watchdog from that perspective.
They're going after Rogan because they're saying that 90%, and this is what they're going after him for, which is, of all the things you can go after Rogan for, this is the dumbest thing you could possibly pick. They're going after him because they're saying that he's such a big show, he's got such a big influence, but 90% of his guests have been male, and he needs to have more female guests. And so they're trying to hammer him for it. But it looks like it's backfiring.
That's
lots
crazy.
of people. Yeah,
I've listened to his show a lot, and he's had a lot of female guests.
He has. Yeah. He's definitely had more male guests, but he does. Yeah, he's MMA and comedy too.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's impossible to not. Yeah. It's fit unless you have a perfect even split. You're always going to have one more of the other. You know what I'm saying? Like all you have to have is one more.
It's never going to be a perfect even split, ever.
Yeah, plus, it's his
going with his interests.
Plus, it's his show. We have this really powerful opportunity in this country to just to tune out, not listen, and not give them money. That's your protest. So if you're mad, Rogan doesn't do what you want, then don't listen. That's it. But this kind of stuff cracks me up that they're going after him for not having as many women on his show as he has men. It's his show, and his audience. His popularity will reflect if he's doing a good job or not. And he's a very popular podcaster. And I think he's extremely balanced. Maybe not in terms of gender, but if you listen to the guests he has on the show, has them from all kinds.
What's
all over the spectrum.
What's that term? The term that you use? Is it where they're just blowing smoke? And do you think that this is really the opinions of people, or are they just trying to?
Oh, right.
What's that?
Well, this was actually from
what's that called?
Media Matters themselves. I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, I think you've referenced it before. And our forum has talked about it too before. Is
where they'll bring up something ridiculous to make the other side look stupid.
Yes, but it's not really the opinions of anybody. It's one person.
Most people don't care.
Yeah, it's like an alarmist type of post where you're just trying to get attention, but get people like yourself to talk about it,
rally the troops,
right? To get people to go "Oh my God, I can't believe someone would think this about Rogan," when in reality nobody really thinks that. It's one asshole who wrote it and has gotten a bunch of attention.
Right. This is Media Matters themselves. They are the ones putting this out. They are again a relatively influential nonprofit organization. They're the ones that are putting this out. So it isn't just an individual tweet from someone that's making the rounds. It's an organization saying, "Hey," and I believe they wrote him a letter like, "Hey, you need to remedy this or whatever," which is insane. And if you go in the comments, so I read the article that was done by Media Matters, and if you look in the comments, they got blasted. And I'm sure it was a bunch of Rogan fans that went on there that just roasted them for
hard to fuck with somebody who's got like Oprah power, dude.
big time.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would think that almost anybody who tries to fuck with him is going to blow up in his face.
yeah, you need to have a good case, and there's certain things you could definitely go after Rogan for, but this is a silly thing to go after him for. If you're trying to go after the guy,
He's kind of bulletproof, man. I mean, if you listen to him, he's pretty straightforward with his views and things that he likes. It's like. And he's obviously got millions of people behind him. Like, good luck.
Yeah, how big is this? Don't they say his show gets more downloads or
than
views
Fox
or whatever
and CNN combined?
than all the news networks.
Well,
combined.
even the late night shows, like how that used to be the majority of views were your David Lettermans and Jay Leno's and and he just like all those combined is now getting more views and listens.
Crushing them.
Yeah.
Another thing, this is kind of cool. So they did the first, this is insane, by the way, breakthrough, the first 3D printed heart, and they used cells from the man that they printed it for.
Wow.
So they were able to use stem cells.
We're here, everybody.
Or cells, and they used his own body to 3D print him a heart.
That worked?
I should read more. I think so. I think that's the case.
You got to read more. That's crazy.
No, I think that's it. How insane is that?
So they just took from his own cells and like, are these like stem cells that you can like mold and
I believe so.
Yeah.
How crazy is this?
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they'll be able to do more.
I feel so dumb when I hear stuff like that.
It's like I'm just repeating science fiction like ideas that I've seen on a movie.
I hear that and I just go like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
All right, so here it is. Read this. So it says researchers at Tel Aviv University have successfully printed the world's first 3D heart using a patient's own cells and biological materials to completely match the immunological, cellular, biochemical, and anatomical properties of the patient. Until now, researchers have only been able to 3D print simple tissues lacking blood vessels. And then this is from one of their statements. It says this heart is made from human cells and patient-specific biological materials. In our process, these materials serve as the bioinks, substances made of sugars and proteins that can be used for 3D printing of complex tissue models. How crazy is this?
You know what? I'm going to be so mad if in 40 years we have figured this all out and they're going to regenerate me to like 25-year-old me, and I took it easy on myself for this long. Like, I could have been doing all kinds of crazy drugs and jumping off buildings and doing weird shit if they were just going to piece
the Rolling Stones are still going on tour.
Right, dude. They're going to piece me together back together in 40 years, man. I should have went harder.
With your own cells.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, there's no like chance of rejection if it's your own cells.
Yeah, imagine you lose like a hand or whatever, and they'll just print it for you.
That's what I'm saying.
That's brilliant. So what they said here, so the 3D heart is small. It wasn't normal size, but they did say that later on what they're going to be able to do is train these 3D printed hearts to act like human hearts in terms of their pumping ability and stuff like that. So right now the cells can contract but do not work together. So they still have some steps to take before they can print you a heart and then do a heart transplant. Because, dude, organ transplants, I mean, that's a terrible position to be in, you know? If you need a kidney or a liver or heart.
I hear it's like incredibly hard to get up on the waiting list and get what you need in a match and all that. Imagine
it doesn't always work.
And it's your own cells.
Right, if every hospital could just reproduce you an organ.
And
that's crazy.
And you literally just, like a Lego, plug it in and it works like your old organ, except it's brand
that's what
new.
I was missing.
We're going to be like X-Men in our lifetime.
Now think about this.
Who do you guys want to be?
Huh?
I'm going to be Wolverine.
Wolverine?
Wolverine?
Yeah.
I'm going to be, who do I want to be? I want to be the Colossus, but he's metal.
Yeah, he is metal.
That's weird.
I like X-Men. I think they're cool, but it's not my favorite superheroes.
Who do you want to be?
Of all the superheroes?
Guinea pig guy.
Come on, bro. I have don't make fun of my friend. Don't make fun of my friend.
Yeah, you picked the coolest. Wolverine is the
awesome.
coolest.
Fucking guinea pig
dude.
guy.
I like if I were gonna be a super Hulk, bro. I had all the comic books when I was a kid. It was always Hulk, always.
Yeah.
Best.
Hulk's good for you.
Hulk, and then Spider-Man I was a big fan of Spider-Man.
See, I go
too.
Iron Man, but he doesn't have any superpowers. It's all his brain.
Yeah. Plus, I have a comic book where
Not a bad thing, bro.
where Hulk
That's
backhands him and almost kills him. So I was like, dumb.
Yeah.
Iron Man
Anyways.
can't keep up.
I like Iron Man.
But yeah, anyway, so think about this. Look at this. Thanks, Doug.
Oh my God, I'm posting that.
Please,
Yes.
please,
100%.
Doug, you have to. Where'd you Google real men love guinea pigs? Oh my
Hey,
God,
I wouldn't
do
do that if I were you because it sounds a little homoerotic. You might find some pictures of it.
Oh God, you're the only one who can't get away.
It's worth it.
I can get away with saying stupid shit all the time. You can't.
What do you mean?
Because you're always you're always so PC. I'm not. So if I can say shit that's like borderline wrong and bad, and people I get forgive. You don't.
What am I saying that I like?
You just said I can't say that. I can
I'm
say
saying
that.
you can't go on. I said you shouldn't go on there because you might see some photos you don't want.
Oh, I thought you were saying that I'm going to get backlash.
No,
from
I don't
people.
care about that.
No, that's Real Men Love Gerbils. That's different.
Oh, that's a whole different.
It's a different genre.
ball game. Yeah. How? What if in the future? Think about this. What if in the future, a billionaire athlete or someone could literally be like, "Hey, I want to double my cardio, my cardio abilities."
So they get 2 hearts.
Can you 3D print me a heart from my tissue, but make it a fucking way better heart?
Like a turbo heart.
Yeah, or can you 3D print me new hamstrings? You know what I mean?
Of course, that's going to be the new performance enhancement, right? Like steroids, schmeroids, dude.
Damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I want high performance parts.
That's gonna be crazy.
Now you're going to be like a like a NASCAR at that point.
Dude, I wanted to tell you, Justin. Thank you very much for introducing me to Wolf Mother.
Oh yeah, you're
What
welcome.
a
You're welcome,
great
America.
band.
Dude. Them and the Sword.
Oh,
It's kind of the similar genre.
their
but yeah,
sound
they're rad, huh?
it sounds so 70s and just so real. And I've been working out to Wolf Mother lately.
Yeah, I love those guys. That was like some of the few and far between like music and bands, like rock bands that still had that old kind of feel to them, and like had that real cool like homage to some of the old bands like Sabbath
Zeppelin and
Zeppelin.
Are they like
Greta Van Fleet was another one.
Are they like a little underground, or are they pretty big and popular?
No, people who know, but it's definitely not a genre that's like super popular.
Oh, love them. Been lifting to them.
Hey, what's up with the doctors that are accused of trading pain pills for sex?
Yeah, so I found an article on that which was interesting, and that was on like Huffington Post. They posted, they're trading like
No way.
prescriptions. So they caught a bunch of doctors for that.
So the doctor's like, hey, so you want some Vicodin or what?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I want. Let's call this an even trade.
Yeah, I don't even know how that went down. I totally lost the article, but
They got busted.
For like I think it was 5 different states that they cracked down and traced back to like who was providing them these pills, and they also found that they were actually doing these like sexual trades for a lot of these exchanges.
Always blows my mind when you hear something like that like has spread across states. Like, is there like a doctors convention where everyone's getting together?
Right, some kind of like ring where
and they're like, hey,
all
listen,
like,
I know they've tightened up the reins on this whole prescription thing, but listen, you can get a serious blowjob for that Vicodin.
I'll tell you what. Like they're desperate.
Yeah, it's really hard for them to trace it too. Yeah, and like how do they do that?
And the tighter they regulate it, the more they'll probably get for their Vicodin because it's so hard to get. You know what I mean? So like, have you tried offering your doctor a blowjob? Because that's what I do.
Yeah, maybe it happens the other way around. That's probably more likely.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
It's like the
people talking to each other.
Yeah, the fiends that are trying to get the opiate addiction, right? And they're like,
they've even convinced dentists. They convinced dentists to basically like remove a tooth just so they had a valid reason for a prescription.
No way.
Yeah,
that's fucking
like that. What a low. Like that's real addiction.
This is evidence right here that just because you have a PhD or you're well educated or you're successful,
doesn't mean you have integrity.
Doesn't mean you have integrity. And some of the fucking biggest sleazeballs in the world are the most educated, like high up people that you'll find.
Oh yeah, because they're making good money. I mean, that's easy thing to write off.
Damn,
a prescription.
31 different doctors, Justin.
31.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Went down.
8 nurse practitioners and 7 other licensed medical professionals. What are the nurses doing?
Oh yeah. Interesting.
Nurse, can you come in? Can you come in here and hold her hair for her, please? she's working for some Vicodin right now.
Oh my God.
This quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. First question is from Tara Scott Fitt. What's a good age for someone younger to start working out in the gym with a parent?
Boy, that's a very individual question.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When they say working out, I'm assuming they're talking about lifting weights, using machines and stuff like that, in which case I would say probably as old as it takes for that kid to be able to be focused enough to, kind of take it seriously. Okay, so that could be any age. It could be 8 years old, 10 years old. Now, most gyms will not let a kid under the age of 12 in their doors without a parent. That being said, kids should be active as soon as they can move. I mean, from day one, have them play sports and have them run and play and do those kinds of things. That's where they're going to get most of their exercise and activity, and that's how they're going to get better with their mechanics. And
this
whatnot.
it really is an individualized thing, because I've seen all levels of this at all different ages. Like, I've seen the kid. Like, I remember one of my trainers who worked for me trained this little wrestler kid, and man, he must have been only like, I want to say he was 10 or 11 years old, and he was an athlete. I mean, you could see the way he moved, and he was so into, and he was training with one of like my elite trainers that was jacked, badass, played college football, like, and this kid just looked up to my trainer like crazy and just did anything he said. And it was so fun to watch him train because he had beautiful mechanics and he wanted to get good and he was competitive about being better at his workout, and just the right mindset for a kid that young if you're going to be lifting weights. Now, then I've seen the same thing. I've seen it out of a 14-year-old who is playing sports, and mom and dad wanted to get him in the gym and start lifting weights to help improve it, and the kid doesn't care. The kid's just not into it. And I'm trying to get him to do exercises, and he's, in the middle of a shoulder press or a push-up, he's looking up at the TV, or, his form is terrible. His mechanics are all over the place, like just not present. And he's not ready to focus on perfecting his form and getting better at that. And so then the workout ends up being geared more around play and just keeping him moving. So it really depends on the kid. Like, if you've got a kid who really wants to, like, I would think that, and like your kids, your kids see you guys working out. They get in there and they do some things that they're showing interest in exercise at a very young age. You can probably start a kid like that a lot younger than the kid who's being told by his mom and dad that we need to go to the gym and get stronger.
Yeah, my goal with my kids in exercise is to make it such a good association that later on, when they decide they really want to work out, that it's a good idea for them, that they have a good association with it, that they don't have bad memories. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to take my kids and force them. No, it's time to work out. We're going to go lift. No, you got to.
It's a chore.
Yeah, because what'll end up happening, in my opinion, at least, and I'm not a child, expert, but in my opinion, I think what would happen is it would develop a bad association with exercise. My dad used to make me do that. He used to force me to do that. I used to hate it. And then it could prevent them from developing a good relationship with exercise and doing it later on. This happened to me with judo. When I was a kid, when my dad was younger, he grew up real poor in Sicily, but when he started working, by the time he was in his mid-teens, he would make enough money to where he could afford to pay to take judo lessons, and the rest of his money would go to his parents. And he would do these judo lessons, and my dad was exceptional at judo. He ranked nationally and just really good at it, and so we'd always talk about it. And he was always telling me as a kid how great judo is, whatever. When he finally found a school, I had no choice. I'm going to judo. You're going to do this. And because he kind of made us do it, I had a little bit of a bad association with it, and it made me not want to do it. So by the time I was like 14, I told him I don't want to do it anymore, and I stopped. Now later on, I developed. I went back to it as an adult in my 20s, and I don't think I would have stopped had I had a good association.
Well, look at remember the kid, the Hercules? Mm-hmm. You remember him? I don't know.
He doesn't want to lift weights anymore.
Yeah, if you look at him now, like he's not fat and out of shape, but he's definitely not lifting weights really.
No. And I had a family member like that with soccer, same thing. His dad hammered him into soccer. He stopped.
Yeah, look at the Marinoviches. And like Todd and like what he went through with his dad being like so involved with all the eating and the training and, trying to make him the best. best. And like, it's just this overbearing parent that was not really letting the kid decide and make these decisions for themselves. And I think that's really the point that we're trying to convey is that, you're trying to plant a seed and you want that seed to grow, and you're not, like you can't really construct you're not making this kid what they want. And that's what your kid's like really teaching you, is that like you can't you can't construct and mold this kid to be exactly what you want. Like you have to work with them.
Now, that being said, I think there's nothing wrong at all with, you having a 12-year-old and he or she is interested in lifting weights, and you're heavy into exercise and lifting weights, and you want to bring them along and teach them. I think it's a great opportunity to bond as a parent. I think it's a great opportunity for you to start to lay the foundation for good mechanics. Now,
you just have to model it.
There's a small caveat to that, which is it's probably better for them that you're doing more body weight, stability, like type of body awareness type of exercise.
Yeah, they just don't have the awareness to balance a dumbbell above their head.
Right. So they opposed to you going and doing a bunch of machine exercises with them. Like they're probably better off doing more body weight training than they are getting under a Smith machine.
This is a common theme, like why we keep having these experts on the show, strength conditioning coaches that are like world renowned. Like they've all like told us that like the best place to start is really body awareness and being able to then control their body on all different levels, all different directions, and to really understand, their place in space and how to get your body to respond properly. That's the foundation of, what you need to establish with kids. And from there, you can really build a foundation going forward.
Yeah, and there's a lot of myths around kids and resistance training. I remember the myth that it'll stunt their growth, it'll damage their growth plates, it'll false. Of course, anybody could get hurt working out, so form is always crucial, whether it's a child or an adult. But the amount of weight that they would have to lift to damage their growth plates and stunt their growth is more weight than they would be able to lift. So that risk is actually quite small. Form is crucial. But here's the thing. Look, I've trained a lot of kids. My second favorite demographic was to train kids. My first favorite was the advanced age people. So old people or young people, those were the two areas I used to enjoy doing. And with kids, what I would do oftentimes when they'd come to the gym, my goal was for them to look forward to hanging out with Sal. So I would bullshit with them. I would talk with them about video games. We would talk about, their friends, the girl at school, the boy at school, the whatever. And then I would, every once in a while, I'd inject exercise. And little by little, what ended up happening with these kids that I would train is they would develop this relationship with exercise where like, fuck, every time I go to the gym, it's fucking fun. Like I get to talk to Sal and the other trainers. I'm getting high fives. And I would tease some of them. I'd have these young guys that I'd train that were like 13, 14. And when they would, be doing curls, I'd yell curls for the girls across the gym and they'd get embarrassed and laugh and we'd have a great time. Sometimes we'd only do 3 exercises. Other times they would push and want to do more and we would do more. But my whole goal was like, I want to get this kid to remember how fun it is to come and have that good. And I do, and like with my son's 13 and I don't push him to work out. I wait for him to tell me and he'll tell me every once in a while, hey, can we do a workout? Absolutely. Let's do it. And then when we're doing it, it's about I'm telling him jokes that I don't normally tell him in front of his sister. We talk about things I don't normally talk about around the family. So it kind of becomes this like me and dad time where we get to do this cool stuff. And, oh, by the way, we're working out as well. What I'm hoping to do is develop that relationship with exercise where later on he doesn't like not want to work out because my dad forced me. It's more like, oh, yeah, I have this good time when I work out. But here's the thing. Any amount of exercise for a kid, so long as it's done properly, is going to benefit them. Even machines, we talk about machines probably not being appropriate for the most part, but better than nothing, and they're going to get some benefit.
And one of the biggest things that you're going to combat is just really like holding their attention. And so there's ways that you can do that and be effective in that. And like there's drills you can do, hand-eye coordination drills, things where it forces them to be present. And they're fun. And so that you can make them like games. And I used to do that a lot with, certain like ball drills and certain like field drills and things where, like they had to respond and react, quickly to what I would say or not say and, throw a ball, have them catch and, made fun drills out of it. But at the same time, it was building their skill to be able to focus when they needed to.
Yeah, I remember, let's see, how old were you guys when you first like went into a legit gym? where you actually first went in, maybe did a workout or hung out?
16 or 17.
So I was,
Yeah,
I want to
probably
say
16.
13 or 14. And what an experience. But I remember the locker room shocked the fuck out of me. I remember walking through there as a 14-year-old. I'd never seen naked grown adult men, you know what I mean, walking
old
around.
dongs,
I was like, I'm never going there again. Make sure to go to the bathroom before I go to the gym.
I walked into the women's room yesterday.
What?
Yeah, at the Warriors game.
You did?
I didn't even tell you guys that. Sorry.
No.
You just reminded me that. Yeah, I did one of those. I smoked weed out in the parking lot before I came in.
Okay, all right. Now it's all making sense.
And so I'm in Oakland. It's so fucking appropriate, I feel like. So we go inside and, I'm dodging people. And it's one of those times where the hallway, the entrance for the male and the female are both
Right next to each
other. And I just took a hard left in and
How quickly did you realize?
once I stepped in and there was no urinals and there was like 20 women in there, I was
Did
like,
they all look
oh
at you
shit.
like-
I bolted right out. But the funny part is as I'm coming out, there was a woman trying to come in and she stopped like, oh, am I in the wrong place? I'm like, no, it's me. Sorry.
I'm the asshole.
Hilarious.
Next up is from the Beardy 5 Pod. Jim Quick and Hal Elrod both talked about morning routines, but their routines were quite different. For example, Jim Quick suggested keeping your eyes closed and remembering dreams. Hal Elrod said to put your phone across the room so you'd have to get up and turn off the alarm. Which do you subscribe to?
Now, I picked this question because I've been doing like a morning routine, and just so the audience knows, like my morning routine looks nothing like Jim Quick's or Hal's.
You just created your own.
Right, and I think this is the thing I don't like about these types of things. And I know the masses love this. We all love give me direction. Tell me the 3 steps to becoming a millionaire. Tell me the 5 steps of
The
success.
exact formula, please.
Right, and I think and it's like certain things that we talk about with exercise. There's certain truths that about like these systems or things that we do. I think the biggest thing that's helping me or that I'm getting is when I get up 2 hours earlier than when I'm now getting up an hour and a half to 2 hours before what I normally would. And what I'm finding that is happening is it's extremely quiet and peaceful in my house. It's still dark outside. I'm having my cup of coffee. I'm reading right now at that time. It's such a great time for me to be completely present, quiet, and focused on whatever that is, whether that be journaling, remembering your dreams, fucking meditating, a little bit of exercise. It doesn't matter. Getting up extra early when I would normally be sleeping in bed and being by myself where it's quiet like that, that's the big bang for your buck right there.
Yeah.
That is where that's the secret sauce in all these fucking formulas is you would normally be fucking sleeping, not doing anything. And now I'm up an hour plus earlier and I'm by myself and it's quiet, it's peaceful. I have a very clear mind. There's not a bunch of distractions. I haven't gone to work. And I actually don't, I look at my phone, but I don't look at text. I don't look at social. I open up my newsletter, so I get my morning brew and my hustle. I read both those articles now first thing in the morning. Now, what I love about that and the motivation behind that is that helps provide content for this show. I mean, part of our show is bringing current events for you guys, for us to discuss and talk about. And so it's greatly improved what I bring to the table every morning because I've now scheduled this time that I don't miss. Where before it was kind of like hit or miss, like, oh, I'll make sure when I get to the studio, I'll pull up some articles and read so I have something to contribute to the conversation. Sometimes I did it, sometimes I didn't. Where now when I'm up 2 hours early, not only do I have time to read all that, then I get to dive. Sometimes there's an article I'm like, whoa, I'm really interested. Then I go deeper into the research and I start searching more about that topic or that company or stocks or whatever. And so it's just it's making my job, me better at my job, and that over all the gratitude, the affirmation writing, the journaling and shit that I'm doing. Yes, those are all great things and positive, but the real takeaway, the real sauce in it for me at least, and it's not getting caught up in who does what, Hal does what, or Jim does what. It's what the fuck I do. Like that's most applicable to my life right now. My life, if I can make an improvement on my day, it is being better prepared for my show that I have to record every day. That's something that is now providing.
Well, it has staying power if it reflects things that you normally would do, but you're improving upon that. And so what the biggest takeaways I got from those rituals is the fact that I can wake up proactively instead of reactively. So instead of me waking up and reacting to a text or reacting to the alarm that's like kind of like shocking me into the world, like I've taken those few things, even like with Sal mentioning that alarm that wakes you up gradually with light was a game changer for me. Yes,
tell me that shit isn't fucking
game
amazing.
changer. And they didn't bring that up, but whatever, it's like. They've found ways that really work for them to find that peak state where they feel like they have control. Like I have control now, and I'm gonna conquer. Have this winning sort of like mentality going into the rest of my day.
You're driving your day versus
you drive it.
Yeah.
You're the guy that's in the driver's seat now, versus being like, well, everybody's asking me over here, and I gotta read this, and oh my God, what's happening over here? Like. You're figuring it out. Like, this is how I'm structuring my day. I'm controlling it. And then, like, I'm going to be in this sort of state, in this attitude, and I'm going to roll with this.
That's right. So with the alarm clock, crazy, right?
I love it. I honestly feel like it's...
You wake up and you don't wake up... I didn't realize...
It's a gentle way to do it.
Yeah, I didn't realize you could wake up differently. You know, I used to wake up to an alarm all my life, and now
it was like
I wake up like I'm waking up
It's like
naturally.
a brace response,
Was
right?
it Hal or Jim? I don't know if it was Hal or Jim, who said the phone across the room. That is something that I've done.
Because it gets you up.
Yeah.
You have to walk up.
I've tried to avoid my phone for the first hour.
I can't snooze. Snooze, and I put it in my bathroom next to where I brush my teeth. So the first thing I do now, my alarm goes up. I have to get all the way up, walk around the bed, go walk into the bathroom, turn my alarm off. I'm already up in front of my toothbrush. I brush my teeth, and then I go downstairs. I make a cup of coffee, and I'm sitting there, and I start reading my newsletter. And so that's been something that has been incredible, and I don't want to stop that routine. I'm going to keep it going.
Sure. Oftentimes, look, it's like the benefits you get from exercise.
Right.
For the most part, if you're just exercising, you're most of the way there in terms of health and longevity and a lot of the benefits you get. The fact that you do something, the fact that you care about your health, the fact that you're active, that's a lot of the battle. The fact that you have a morning routine is 90% of the benefits you're going to get from the morning routine. The fact that you wake up and take it seriously. Yeah. The fact that I wake up before it's time for me to rush out of the house. I get to wake up, be quiet about it, know what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. And then you put your practices in there, whether they're gratitude or, for me, I like to wake up. I like to read. Sometimes I'll do my workout. Sometimes I'll do my sauna. I've been doing this for a long time now, and it's a very different way to set up your day. It's like how you're setting up. If you wake up and you're constantly rushed, it tends to bleed over into the rest of your day where you're just not ready. Yep. I like to be ready for the day, and that takes a couple hours for me, and I think for most people. That's right.
Next question is from Heinz Patricia. What are your thoughts on cryotherapy and ice baths for recovery? Placebo or actually valuable?
I thought it was maybe this was on my questions that I answered this exact question, and I fucking think cryo is awesome, is amazing, and if you can afford to do it, kudos, or more power to you. But I think, and Sal, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the research shows that most of the benefits that you get from cryo, you get back to like you're getting the majority of you're getting a majority of those benefits in an ice bath.
You're actually getting more. Ice baths are more effective than cryo. They're just way more painful and way more difficult to administer in the sense that, like, I can walk into a cryo chamber.
It takes a lot more preparation and resources.
Yeah, dumping yourself in ice water. Ooh, that's a tough one.
If you don't have a setup, right? But I mean, I think that the benefits of the ice bath is, I thought it was equal or a little less. You're claiming that the ice bath is
because of the length of time and the fact that it's colder. It's not just colder, it permeates your body more. But here's the thing. Two things. First off, your body's ability to acclimate to extreme temperatures. Pretend it's a muscle. So pretend like your ability to acclimate to heat and to cold is something that you can practice and develop. And this is true now, okay? This is something you can develop. So if you're constantly in 72-degree, climate-controlled environments, you start to lose that ability. And so and you know this, look, if you've ever lived anywhere that's really cold or really hot, you'll find that your body its ability to deal with that temperature improves. Like when I lived in Palm Springs, which is a desert, It gets hot as fuck in the summer. Like I would wake up and it would be 90-something degrees at 8 a.m. And by the time 4 p.m. rolls around, it's 120-something. It got to the point where when I would come back up to San Jose to visit my family, and it'd be 90 degrees up here, 85 degrees, and my family would be like, oh my God, it's so hot. I'd be like, it's not hot at all. I feel me. Because I developed, my body's ability to acclimate to heat had gotten developed. You hear this from people who are from freezing cold states in the U.S. Well, they'll come to California. I have friends who will visit from Wisconsin or from Chicago. I have family in Chicago, in fact, and they'll come here and it'll be 62 degrees outside. We're all wearing sweaters and they're like, t-shirt and shorts, and they're like, it's nice and warm outside. Their body's ability to deal with the cold, and like all muscles, you develop that. There's carryovers to the rest of your body. Now, the science does show that cold reduces inflammation and will speed up recovery. Here's the problem. If you do it right after you work out, it also blunts the signal that you sent from the workout.
I was just going to bring that up. Right, because like it's that old thing. Like the inflammation that you've caused within, your workout is actually like contributing towards the adaptation process. So, if you're in a state where like I'm in a sport and I'm doing double days, like in between that where I want to make sure that like I lower my inflammation down just enough so now I can perform again and put more demand on my body, that's where it makes most sense for me.
Or like professional athletes. That's why you see this a lot with professional athletes. I think this is where it's gotten really popular, which is you're not a professional athlete.
You're just always they're killing your body.
Yeah, you're an NBA player. You're running back-to-back games or games with only a day apart. You're not trying to make major gains of building muscle. You care more about being able to recover and perform again. And so therefore, you don't care that you're blunting the signal for you to adapt and grow and build more muscle. So for that person, it makes a lot of sense. Now, for the average gym goer, it doesn't make a lot of sense to train real hard and then go do cryo or go do ice baths all the time afterwards. You know what I think is, or for me personally, like that has blown me away, is when I started doing the ice baths or the cold showers. And when I don't, so when we first started the podcast, I used to get sick all the time.
Oh, you're right.
All the time. When we got introduced to ice baths and we started diving into the research, and cryo was first coming on the scene. I remember when we first started, we went over and tried the first one that came to the Bay Area. And what I was most fascinated with was when I started training that and being consistent with it, where I was training it on a regular basis. Holy shit, I would never get sick. And still to this day, this is like 4 or 5 years later of getting into this, when I get sick, you can guarantee that I've been lazy on that. Whenever I'm lazy on training the hot-cold contrast, the only times I've been susceptible since we've been on this podcast and I get sick. So if you hear me on this podcast, you can almost guarantee that for the last month before that or whatever, I started to lay off my hot-cold contrast training. When I'm doing that, I fucking swear I feel so resilient to colds.
Well, anytime you find a practice that's been around for a long time and has become a part of cultures, you can bet that there's some kind of an amazing benefit. So if you go to like Eastern Europe, like ice baths and cold therapy has been a part of Eastern European culture and tradition for a long time. In fact, you can find videos on YouTube of children at recess being put in bathing suits, and I'm talking little kids, 4 years old, 5 years old, going out and jumping in the snow, and this is part of their.
Oh, and there's the Polar Bear Club.
That's
too,
right. That's right.
Yeah, this has been part of the practice all over the world for a reason. It's interesting, and I was also trying to think more about this because I know when I did the Wim Hof technique and was hyperoxygenated, and that was part of the process of trying to really tap into the parasympathetic state. Because when you think of like jumping into ice, you're gonna you have to like be in this sympathetic state to overcome all the stress. But really, what made me help, like it helped me to then switch over into like a different state where I felt like if I relax, like I'm gonna do better. Like my body I'm gonna be able to withstand this really cold feeling a lot more efficiently, and it really helped me then to access that outside of having to jump into an ice bath.
No, I think regular cold therapy is something everybody should do, whether it's just cold showers every day or ice bath or even cryo. Now, what I don't think you need to apply is immediately after your workout as a way to help you recover, unless you're tiptoeing on the line of overtraining. So if you're training so hard that you're like, okay, like my body, I overdid it, it probably can't take it, then it makes sense. But if you're just trying to build muscle and all that
Brink had
stuff,
me do it before workouts.
yeah. And now, what did you notice? Oh, probably from the boost of the dopamine and all the.
Yeah. So when he first was getting get it going, and when I was starting to use it a lot,
That makes a lot of sense. Actually.
He's like, dude, use it before you work out. He's like, before you go into your workout, 30 minutes before, go do cryo and then go get a lift. And boy, I had some of the best lifts ever doing that. That was awesome.
It's for me, it's like a cup of coffee. If I do it in the morning before I come to work, I turn on, and it's fucking painful.
You should now you're going to 49er Fit and they're hooking you up. You should do the cryo before you do a lift.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. Next time I go there, I'm going to go in there and try it out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, post workout, not that big of a deal, but I definitely think you should do it on a daily basis. And one thing you can do, you don't need a cold bath or anything like. Literally, there's studies that show that a 20 to 30 second cold rinse every morning. So at the end of your shower, just put it to cold and let that shit soak you for 20 to 30 seconds a day.
That's how I do it.
That's it, front and back or whatever. And studies will show a dramatic reduction in illness, inflammation. They've actually shown it to be a temporary treatment for mild depression. So people who feel kind of down or whatever, do the cold, they come out and they feel more up and awake and kind of happy. They're showing that it increases emotional resilience. So people who do this tend to be able to handle more stressful situations across the board. And again, we talked about the cultures that have done this for a long time. Eastern European, I know in Japan, Japanese monks have been, soaking themselves under freezing cold waterfalls for a long time, and it's been a part of their practice. So there's definitely health benefits.
Next question is from Shrades. What have your experiences been with meditation? What sort of benefits have you been or seen in research or personal experience? What advice would you give people looking to add meditation to their lifestyle?
This is a cool question because I don't know what day we're releasing Dandapani, but we have a monk that we had on the show that it was a great guest, was a great interview, a lot of fun hanging out with him. And one of the things that stuck with me that he talks about in this episode is he talks about how they spent the entire day preparing for meditation. And I thought that was really interesting because, in our culture right now, it's all about, becoming, mindful and getting into meditation. It's almost becoming trendy now. We have all these apps like Headspace and all that have all these different types of meditation, and we talk a little bit about this. And everyone's trying to squeeze in, meditation because all the science and the research that shows
like a Band-Aid to the rest of their day.
Right. It's like there exactly versus like really trying to prepare the mind for meditation. And the thing that he said was most people don't know how to focus, therefore you can't meditate. You must first learn how to focus before you learn how to meditate. And trying to skip that process, I think, is almost worthless for some people. To just sit in a quiet room, if you're distracted and your brain's hopping all over the place and you can't center yourself and focus on one thing, I think there's not a lot of value to what people are trying to meditate like right now.
No, it's all about being where you're at, being present and concentrating on where you're at, and those opportunities present themselves all the time. You don't have to go aside or go away and meditate. What's interesting about meditation, which I find fascinating. Several studies now have been done on mindfulness and meditation in showing how it can influence weight loss. And what they find, what many of these studies are showing, is that when they'll take two groups, both of them watching their food intake, both of them trying to lose weight, one of them also doing mindfulness practices, the mindfulness group will lose on average 2 to 3 times more body fat.
Wow.
Because of the being more aware. Now, we know as trainers that 99% of the issue with food is all in the head.
Right.
And it's not just about counting macros and salt and how your behaviors. So it makes perfect sense.
It makes more sense too, even more so today, because, and I'm guilty of this myself. Like, how many times do I pull my phone out and I'm like reading or I'm texting or I'm Instagramming at the same time that I'm shoveling food in my mouth?
Yeah.
And how many times have I sat down and watched a movie and I have something in my lap and I'm just like shoveling food in my mouth, and I know I'm not a fucking lone on this. Like just putting practices in where you don't get on your phone or you don't watch TV while you eat. It's actually harder to overeat.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting too, and I've heard this from multiple people who are really into like archery, for instance. Like they saying that it's such a meditative process because you literally can't think of anything else. Otherwise, you're going to shoot and it's never going to go in the direction you want it to go. You have to put all of your focus and center everything in one point. And so like the whole it could take a long time. You have to get your breathing to be under control. Everything has to channel and direct into one point of focus. And I feel like for me, that would be a good start. Like, something like that where I have to really like, maybe it's the environment, maybe it's like an activity. It's something that's like really, guiding me into one focal point. And then from there, I can kind of learn the process of, okay, this is what it's going to take for me to, really channel that focus, and then now apply this like just sitting in a chair and like thinking a thought.
Yeah, for me, my meditative practice has always been my workouts when I'm alone. When I work out alone, I'm not thinking of other things. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow, what I just did. I'm not going over. I am very present in my workout. I'm very aware of my body. I'm aware of how I feel. I'm aware of the weights. I'm aware of the gym. And that's one of the reasons why I love my workouts so much, and why I go into my workouts. If I go into one stressed out, I come out of it and the problem didn't go away. Whatever I was stressed out about didn't go away, but I come out of it with a much better mentality and approach towards my issues. Now, that was the only way I'd ever learned how to be present. I have a difficult time being present. I'm extremely distracted most of the time. I say it's ADD and that kind of stuff, and people know me. It's just something I struggle with. My workouts, I never struggle with that, but I applied it later on to one of the most mundane tasks of all times, and that is washing dishes. And this was when I was married. Towards the end of my marriage, one of the issues that at the time my wife had with me was that I didn't contribute to a lot of the stuff around the house. And so I started to try and take it seriously. And this is already when we knew that it wasn't going to work out. But I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to take some of the stuff seriously because I can't just look at the other person. And so I started doing the dishes and doing stuff around the house. And I found that if I was very present, I actually enjoyed doing these tasks that are mundane. And so I practiced with doing the dishes, feeling the water, watching the dish, washing it, not thinking about anything else, but actually being where I'm at and doing what I'm doing. And it became a meditative practice. And that's how you can turn anything into meditation. So the advice I would give to anybody who's looking to add meditation to their lifestyle is different now than it used to be. What it used to be was, hey, spend 5 minutes in a room, belly breathe, try to focus, close your eyes. Now I say, try to meditate doing something that you normally do throughout the day. If you make your bed every morning, be so present when you're making the bed. Watch what you're doing. Pay attention. Don't think about anything else. Be very present with every action that you're doing and everything that's in that room, and that will be your meditative practice at first. Those opportunities present themselves all day, every day, and the busier your life is, theoretically, the better you can get at meditating because you have more opportunities presented in front of you to practice this being present. So, and with that, go to mindpumpfree.com and download our guides. They're all free. We have guides on building your arms, your legs, your core, personal trainers. We have guides for personal trainers. You can find them all at mindpumpfree.com. You can also find us all on social media. We have our own individual social media pages on Instagram. You can find Justin at mindpumpjustin, Adam at mindpumpadam, and you can find my page at mindpumpsal.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.